Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And the drama does just not stop in the Call of Duty community right now, with Havok responding to the comments that were made about him for turning down the New York Subliners roster opportunity. Clayster also revealing he was pushing for a two-man change internally before he was benched. Very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really up to the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Speaking of anti-methods, of course, yesterday got his massive victory against the Tron Vulture that he's been looking for quite some time. In fairness, a great treat from Boston. At the same time, they did drop him a gold to win like our mini event and place however well for so long. But greater performance from Zinni yesterday, got the series victory. Boston looking very strong right now, no doubt about it. We'll actually have a look at the season standings here towards the end of the video, and of course, we're kind of previewing tonight's games. But it will still plenty to discuss before we get to that point. This is what we talked about yesterday, right? When X and Methods both kind of said that, well, basically Havok's an idiot for turning down this spot on the New York Subliners if he was offered that opportunity. Now, of course, we talked about this yesterday. Differing opinions on this, right? Because players have turned down other opportunities as well, and it's kind of like, okay, is it going to work out better for their career if another opportunity comes along the horizon? Now, well, some pretty strong words here, really, from X and Methods, especially on what they thought about Havok, even though at the time we didn't really have the full story, weren't exactly sure what was going on. So Havok comes out to clarify the situation right in a tweet longer last night. And this is honestly quite expansive. There's a lot that he dives into right here. So let's just roll into this stuff. I've seen a lot of negativity and misinformation through Twitter, Reddit, and the Flank regarding my decision not to join New York, and I wanted to clear the air. First of all, I'm grateful that New York reached out to me in the first place. I've been working hard this year to get back in the league. At the same time, getting on the wrong team, it can be detrimental to my career. We've seen that before. If you join a team that's shambolic, the system doesn't work for you, you look bad. It happened to Royalty, you could argue, in place of Neptune. Like, Royalty, solid player, comes in for Neptune, it looks pretty awful. Like, him getting the next opportunity that's arriving, probably not going to be all that likely. That being said, this was something I'd thought through for days, going back and forth on what would be best for me. New York came to me and wanted to make a two-man change. This, of course, is something that they haven't done as of yet, which kind of implies further that maybe Neptune's spot on the team is certainly still in hot water to some degree. But as he describes, from what I was told, they didn't have a system, weren't watching VODs, were yelling at each other in practice, had only 10 points in the league, right? So clearly we would need to turn things around quickly if we want to make champs and come top 8. I felt like the solution was bringing in someone from my team who could help teach our system, of course, the Texas Nation squad they've got going on right now, and expedite that process. Hydra didn't want Brezzy. That's very interesting, because of course that Brezzy, a French player, Hydra, a French player, you would have thought that it kind of been on the same side in this one, and Brezzy coming in as the flex might have made sense there. That's not what they want to do. I guess Hydra doesn't want him, doesn't think he's good enough, or doesn't really like what he brings to the team chemistry-wise, who really knows? But apparently Hydra doesn't want Brezzy. They didn't want another main AR like Jordan, of course, that being general, so Kismet made the most sense to me. He grabs bomb, great teammate, all this type of stuff. After talking with the team, so Havok was obviously in conversations for quite a few days, I liked where Clay's head was at, and his view on how to improve as a team lined up exactly with mine. So Havok's ideal team was myself, that being Havok, of course, Clayster, Kismet, and Hydra. That didn't work out. So I mean, look at this team, right? Do you really think this is a spectacular team? I feel like what New York eventually did probably is better than this, to be perfectly honest. Like, just the ceiling of this team does not really seem like it needs, well, is where it needs to be if they want to be competing for championships. I feel like what they've done here probably makes more sense, but I mean, still, I guess this is what was being proposed by Havok and the guys. They decided to go with Paul X instead, who, this is also interesting, we'll dive into this in a second. He was just telling the entire Challenger scene that I was hacking like a week ago. He is my boy for a while, randomly throwing dirt at me, doesn't exactly make me get to play with him. So I mean, just classic drama, isn't it? Just fantastic stuff. All of that considered, I do think I would have joined if they had kept Clayster. To my knowledge, there's no bad blood between Crim and I, but I wasn't confident our personalities would mesh well in a competitive environment. The last reason was to do with this current team in Texas Nation. Difficult to find people that actually this good, look forward to scrimming every day, this type of stuff. Ultimately, I didn't feel confident in taking New York's offer. Then he goes on to kind of talk about the flank and what X had to say on the flank. Finally, I want to express how poorly this was handled on the flank. It was unacceptable being called a moron and saying I might as well retire in front of thousands of viewers when I was not there to defend myself and my decision, nor was I even asked to come on the show. After 7 years in the pro scene, I expect more respect. Their platform and influence holds a lot of responsibility, so I hope they will handle things better in the future. So, well, all this type of stuff, just a classic Call of Duty drama. Few initial replies to this, right, and kind of discussions on the matter. Firstly, from Paul X in the reply, not sure why you're just naming me, brother. I just said you had some really sus stuff in this game. Just think it's ironic that you did the same thing to Tiny not long ago. I ain't got no issues with you, but for sure. So yes, T-Tiny's been a name that's been around the scene for a few years. There was some discussion from Havok and others that he might have, well, some dodgy clips coming out a few weeks ago. There was certainly some talk, I don't really think I mentioned it on the channel much, but, classic challengers, cheating type drama. Now, well, who knows? Apparently, Paul X has been accusing Havok of cheating as well, or having some dodgy clips. So this was one part of it, of course, and then we've got the other part of it, which is like the Flank's kind of response, calling him a moron, this type of stuff. Of course, it's not really the Flank's response. It's more like the individual's response in, like, what X has to say here. I'm pretty sure, like, even on last night's episode, they were still going in pretty hard on him, but as Aches describes, for the record, it was mostly me and my personal opinion, not necessarily the Flank calling you out for making a horrible decision after the rumour surfaced, which for the record, I 100% stand by even after reading your post. I had numerous episodes in front of thousands of viewers in my audience, so I don't really see how or agree that if you decide to decline an offer from one of them, that's unreasonable for us to call you out on it if I believe it is a bad decision. We're all entitled to our opinions at the end of the day. You're always welcome to join the show and discuss the topic whenever you would like. That goes for any player that is being discussed. So just fantastic stuff all across the board. I think it was good that Havok explained this a little bit more, because I think some of the comments that we discussed yesterday maybe pushed the boat out a little bit too far, but of course the team that Havok was kind of proposing on New York doesn't really seem like the greatest one, so I don't really blame him for turning down this opportunity too much if he doesn't feel like it was going to work out. But just looking at their result yesterday, and well, who knows what happens in the future, because there's no guarantee of expansion either, or another opportunity raising itself for the rest of the season. And well, Havok says the following just in the replies. But of course, that wasn't the only story of yesterday. Clayster had a major thing to say when he got benched in New York, tweeting, well, the following out a video about 6.5 minutes long, just discussing the situation right now, getting benched from the roster. Some very interesting things to dive into here, right? Saying, okay, he still wants to compete. That's definitely his intention. Even if he has to wait after stage 2, stage 3, even into, well, next year, potentially, he's still looking to compete above all else. Hopefully he gets an opportunity after stage 2, but I really can't see it as like incredibly likely, because what team needs a main AR like Clay? You can look at maybe an LAG, maybe a Florida Mutineers, like maybe even a Minnesota if they wanted to make a move, and I'm not sure that's the greatest idea. Could be Clay and Attach coming back together, who knows? They don't look great right now either. So maybe there are some candidate teams out there, but it's not going to be easy for Clayster, I'm pretty sure, to find another roster here. He talks about his possibilities if he doesn't come back and join, but also I thought was very interesting, he talks about some of the behind the scenes stuff in what was going down in the New York camp when they were making this move. He said that he was pushing for a 2-man change to the organization, including a change to the core, which of course would mean Crimsix and Clayster.
I really do want to compete. I'm gonna fight and scrap for every inch of this pro career that I have. I always have and I always will. I'm not ready to be done yet. So with that being said, I am currently looking for other opportunities on other teams. I obviously don't think I'll get on one right now in the middle of the stage, but I'm hoping after the major an opportunity arises and a team wants to take a chance on me proving myself. I think that's really all I want in this situation, is just an opportunity to prove myself and the worth that I bring to a team. I think that my individual performance hasn't been indicative of how good I am at this game. Obviously, I'm upset, but once you sit here and think about it, I hope those guys do well, and I hope those guys find the success that I think they all deserve. I think a reset was needed overall in the team. I've been telling the org since Major 1 that a 2-person change is needed, and I know they're still only doing 1 person right now, but I firmly believe that a core shakeup of the fundamentals of the team needed to be changed, and this is New York's solution for changing it. Can't really be upset with how I've been performing, and so I totally understand where they're coming from. I just wish I had an opportunity to prove myself. But also on the other side of things, like, I know I'm not guaranteed a spot. I've seen this happen to a lot of pros, especially pros who get upwards of age, and this could be it for my competitive career. I don't want it to be, and I'm gonna hold on to the hope that there will be another opportunity for me, whether that may be after this upcoming major, maybe after the next one, or at the very worst next year. But usually sitting for that much time is a little bit of a death sentence for someone this late in their career. So if I don't find an opportunity in competitive Call of Duty, I will be looking for opportunities elsewhere.
So if you read between the lines a little bit of what Clayster had to say there, he basically implied, okay, look, I was pushing for a 2-man change. You would imagine Hydra was going to stay, Neptune was going to go, and then of course the other part of the 2-man change would have been either Crimsix or Clayster had to go. And Clay's not going to the ownership, right, or going to the management or whoever and saying, look, I think you should bench me and Neptune. There's no way he's saying that. He's probably saying, almost certainly, that, I think we should get rid of Crim, get rid of Neptune, put them to the bench, and then work something out with me and Hydra, like it was relatively successful last season for them. So, well, seems to imply to me that, and of course you can't really blame them, right? You got to fight for your own back at the end of the day. But just given the fact that coming into the season, Crim and Clay seem to be super happy getting back together, now it seems to be kind of probably behind the scenes a Crim versus Clay power struggle within the team, of Clay going to the management and saying, look, we want to make a 2-man change. Crim's got to go if you want to keep me. And then, of course, maybe Crim saying the same thing the other way around. So, I guess this makes sense, right? That the two guys try to effectively get each other benched, and Crimsix won out at the end of the day, which I guess makes sense based on performances so far. I'm sure they still have a lot of respect for each other, but still, that's how these games are played, right? Clayster still wants to compete, therefore he's going to do his best internally to try and get Crim dropped, I guess, so he can still stay there as the dominant force within a team and make the other roster changes that they end up making. Will Clayster get another opportunity though later this year? It seems somewhat difficult to imagine immediately, but it's certainly possible. There's other organizations that could be on the prowl looking for a potential guy like Clayster. He's still got a fair bit to prove, but his performance so far this year wasn't great. Generally though, whenever Clayster gets dropped, he comes back stronger. Whether that can happen again and again, if the year's 2037 and Clayster's 45 getting dropped, so are we still expecting him to come back at that point? There obviously is a limit to how many times he can come back and return. It's generally difficult when players take a step back to make a return into the scene. So I think really he needs an opportunity now after stage 2 if he wants to get on the squad for the rest of the year. Some funny replies honestly here from Nameless and Clayster as well, but as Clay describes, if you have a job opportunity for me outside of playing professionally, please contact me and we can start a conversation. I'd rather not go this route, but if I don't get another chance, I'd like to start setting something up for the end of the season ASAP. So wishing Clayster all the best, legendary player, but I'm sure some of the behind the scenes stuff here was pretty spicy indeed. This I just wanted to mention real quick as a segue into tonight's games. I thought was pretty funny. Kenny tweets this out, still mind blown this is a thing, effectively talking about the fact that in this situation right here when OpTic managed to clutch up in that game 3 yesterday, that the spawns for Florida didn't really make all that much sense. Florida have progress on the hard points, and number 2 in Dave Paddy spawns way out on the far left hand side of the map, whereas number 4 spawns much closer. So he's kind of confused what's going on there. Basically said that Florida's on the point, not even contested. Maybe if this goes differently and the spawns don't work in this way, then Florida have enough men in close vicinity to actually win this map, and we'll send it to a map 4 rather than OpTic winning it. Pretty funny some of the replies coming through from the OpTic fans. I think I saw one in particular. This one is a classic here from Hole. He's got the numbers at the end of his name. He's got no profile picture. Stop crying because OpTic are better and you suck. Just vintage stuff for the comment sections. But let's dive into this then. So these are the CDL points as they look right now. OpTic, well, substantially ahead of the rest of the field with 125. Boston now number 4 at 70 points. And then, of course, down here at the bottom, it's the Paris Legion, baby. New York have separated themselves up to 20 points so far this season. And they will not play again today because these are the 3 games. So, Surge versus Guerrillas. Right now, Surge are certainly on the uptick. Not really sure where Guerrillas are. Of course, they did beat Paris Legion recently, but they didn't look particularly good outside of that. I think Surge are going to be able to win this one 3-1. Then we've got Rokkr versus Thieves, and I thought the Rokkr might be able to take this in a game 5, at least looking at before their series yesterday. But after yesterday's matchup, I really feel like Thieves are favourites here. I think they looked better in Search and Destroy. I think they've probably been working fairly hard on it. I think Thieves in a 3-1, that should be how this works out. And then FaZe versus Ultra. Tough to really do a hot take prediction on these matchups today, to be perfectly honest, because yesterday Ultra looked pretty woeful. FaZe are more than likely going to continue a pretty dominant run that they have had so far. So I think the FaZe, we'll just go 3-1s across the board. Why not? We love a 3-1 fashion here. But yeah, Surge, Thieves, FaZe, that's it for me. But yeah, exciting matches to be honest. A lot to prove for a lot of these teams, especially LA Thieves, right? For example, there's now 0-2. They need to win this one, especially the Search and Destroy that Rokkr usually has in the back pocket. Can Ultra bounce back? Because they're not in the easier spot. And also this top match as well. That's going to be a real good indication of where both these teams are right now. But very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit in a like button. Tell us your YouTube gods this is a good video. I just like you should see it as well. And I grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.